Hey, you folks, I'm Alan. If you know me, welcome back. If you don't, settle in. Today is Saturday. Happy Saturday, May 23, 2026, 8:40 in the a.m., Davao, Philippines. All right, for today's video, I'm going to try to keep this short. My apologies if I birdwalk and wander a bit. So, this past week's been real busy for Andy and I, and it's been a high point amidst a world of chaos and uncertainty. We finally got our wedding certification, like our marriage cert, and that's really cool, man. Like we've been waiting for this, and paperwork tends to take a long time here in the Philippines. All right, we were initially told it could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, but on average, about 6 months. It took it 4.5 to get here. Um, but having it is just really, really reassuring. And it got me thinking, well, folks might be curious as far as a breakdown goes on what that costs here in the Philippines, wedding wise. Now, some caveats. Um, a lot of times here in the Philippines, Filipino culture is such that when they have a wedding, like everybody's invited. Um, and to contrast that, I am that guy. I come from a family of those guys where we will just go and get married and not tell anybody. It has happened so many times that we have a phrase for it in my family. It's called pulling a Johnson. And what that entails is you fall in love with someone, do an engagement, and then you go and get married. It's you, your partner, the judge, and as few witnesses as possible that you can manage. You get it done, and then you don't tell anybody shit for a year. Like, that is on the down low for a year. After 365 days, you send out some nice pictures from the wedding and the honeymoon, and just things of that nature. My cousins have done it. My brother Eric has done it 3 times. And that was the angle I was looking to take. Because at the end of the day, I'm a Johnson. Andy, my wife, was not having any of that. So we had to meet in the middle and compromise, and that's part of this caveat. Um, we went with a small private wedding, which was just big enough to appease her and just small enough that it didn't have me crawling out of my damn skin. I want to say we had around 23, 25 people in total. So with all that in mind, I'm going to give this to you in dollars and pesos. The wedding wound up running us around $2,300, which breaks out to around 142,000 pesos. That is not bad. Now, bear in mind, that covers, you're probably wondering, well, okay, what does that cover? Brothers, sisters, and NBs, that covers everything but the wedding rings. All right, so the pre-marriage counseling. Yes, this is a thing you do. I felt like I was in sex ed again in high school. The marriage license, the prenup agreement, the venue, the pastor, the wedding dress, my outfit, the certificate of legal capacity to contract marriage that I had to go to Manila to the U.S. Embassy to get. That round trip flight, the money, the tip for the staff, the makeup artist for Andy, the copies for birth certificates and stuff. All of that is included in that price. About 2,300 US dollars, or around 142K pesos. That's not bad. Now, something that I learned that they do here that I'm just not used to from the US is you can rent a venue and the money you put into it, they call consumable. And I had kind of a hard time getting my head around this for whatever goddamn reason. You don't think of that money, for me at least, I had to not think of that money as money spent to rent the venue. That money is the floor amount for what you're going to spend on consumables, on food and drink. So Andy and I went to a place called Olson's Cafe in Davao City because it was spot on the theme and the style that we wanted, and both of us love coffee. And I want to say that started off at around 25K pesos. What is that? Around $400, give or take. All consumable. So we weren't just getting the venue for that money. We were getting the catering and the food and the drink. All right. That was really cool. We wound up going just north of 25K at the end because there was some extra food that we bought and extra drinks that went around. But like that saved us a lot. And it's why I was able to set aside some money to tip out the staff. It worked out really well. Andy was really excited. Like I was, especially as an American, especially as a white male American, I had some concerns about cultural appropriation. But Andy really wanted to see me in a barong, is what it's called. It's a formal Filipino attire that the groom wears for the wedding. So we went and rented one of those, and she got her dress, and she was just beautiful. She still has her shoes, though. She wasn't going to rent those. But to be fair, so do I. And I got to tell you, finding shoes my size, I wear a 13 quadruple E, which is extra wide. Extra wide. Can't find those in the Philippines, so had to order those. Luckily, I found a manufacturer in China because this was during the big spike in tariffs. They were able to get them to me for a really, really reasonable price. And there's things here that you wind up having to do that you wouldn't in the U.S. Like I said, that pre-marriage counseling was strange, man. Like, it really threw me right back to high school. The marriage license is common, but then you also have to get like a barangay certificate, and then you got to deal with the community tax certificate. It was going with a pastor was really hard for me. I'm not going to lie, because I am an atheist. I am an avowed atheist, and I have been for many, 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 many years. And that has taken, like, there's new tools that I've had to develop for dealing with being in the Philippines as an atheist. Because everything here, like the Catholic religion, just religion in general, has become deeply ingrained in the Philippines, mostly because of Spain. But also, there's been a lot of U.S. influence there, too. Now, we could have tried to go with a judge, and trying to get a judge is basically a raffle. And even if you do, they're going to bring up religion. Like, there's just no way around it. Now, you can try to get a judge outside of a courtroom. That's going to run you between 2 to 8K pesos. If you can get them in a courtroom, like, you have no control over that timing, and that'll only run you about 1,000 pesos. The pastor, I want to say he ran us 7.5K pesos. And again, it's like 60 pesos to the dollar right now. All right. So that's not a lot. All right. Especially given that once we got the marriage done, once we got the wedding done, pardon me, Like he wasn't just there for the ceremony and the I do's. He also made sure to file our license and take care of the paperwork at the LCR. And once you get that processed, the LCR then has to take that, shoot it over to the PSA, and then you wait. And the PSA is in Manila. That's not in Davao. That's up in Luzon Island. So that takes longer. LCR is more of the local registrar, and then the PSA is like is the certificate from the Philippine government. All right, that's the real important one. If you're trying to prove legitimacy of being married, you need that PSA cert, and that's that marriage certificate that we finally just got, and it's a huge relief for me. So these are things to bear in mind. You end up going with a judge. He may or may not process that paperwork depending on the conversation you have with him. Like you really need to have a talk with that person and see what they're going to do for you and what that's going to cost you. And naturally, the less you pay up front, the more you're probably going to have to do on the back end with your own labor. All right. So while I struggled having to deal with a pastor in the wedding, he did come through for us on the back end with the paperwork. Like that was all squared away. And it wasn't easy. Like there were definitely it took, I'm sure as anyone who has had to speak with their partner and plan a wedding will tell you, there's a lot of ups and downs. And I'm really, really glad Andy was there for me to help us through it. There are things that I handled really well. There are things I did not. The first pastor we talked to, I kept up a brave face, but when I got home, I definitely, I was upset, and I could have handled that better. Lots of apologies happened after I blew off all that steam. I was pretty upset, but I learned a lot about me, about the situation, and about how I could have handled it better. And in the end, we got through it. Yay us! Now, there's been a website that Andy's been looking at. It's psahelpline.ph. I'll leave a link in the description. And she's been checking that to see if our marriage certificate is even available. Now, is it free? No, it is not. It costs around 230, 250 pesos, which she was happy to pay, and I was happy to have her pay. We live far enough out from Davao that the cost of a grab one way is around 300 to 500 pesos, depending on time of day and traffic. And then that's just one way. So you're looking at anywhere from 600 to 1,000 pesos just to drive down to the LCR and find out if the PSA has processed the marriage certificate, if it's available. So it's easier just to pay that $250. And so she wound up doing that like every month until we finally got the news back, and they were able to send us a PDF copy that's like a temporary copy that we can each have just for paperwork on our side in case we need it for processing any documentation or any legal matters come up. We have that information on us while we wait for the actual stamped copies to arrive. Now, what does that look like? We ordered 5 copies because I believe in redundancy. I wanted to have a main copy and then a backup copy for her and I, and then a travel copy for her and I. And that travel copy is super important, both for her and for me. Now, those who don't know, it is very difficult for Filipinos to travel internationally. All right, especially Filipino women. That's the Philippine government's reaction to all the human trafficking that has happened over the years. So I understand why, but boy, it can be a real pain in the ass. So having a travel copy of that marriage certificate makes it easier for her to leave the country with me, is what it comes down to. So if we want to go travel to Thailand or to Singapore, just places where her passport will let her go. And she got her passport scored away before she and I ever met. So that's enormously useful. She just hasn't had a chance to use it. If we want to go visit her sister in Australia, it's so much easier to do that now because she has a marriage cert for travel. And then consequently, when we travel internationally and then we come back, so long as she and I are both present, and we both have to be present, and we have that marriage certificate, I can apply there at the airport when I'm getting processed. I can apply for a Balikbayan visa. Oh, what's that? That's a special visa. They don't tell you about that one. You have to ask for it. That gives me a 1-year visa, Balikbayan visa. All right. You have to specifically talk to them and ask about that. Say, well, I'm married to a Filipina. Here's our marriage certificate. Here's the Filipina. And then they'll process your paperwork and you will get issued a Balikbayan visa. That's fantastic. Tourist visas, I don't know. For me, it's something I do every 2 months. Okay, here in Davao, I can get a 2-month extension, and it costs anywhere from $3 to $5K for administrative reasons. The price has never been the same consistently for me. 2 months ago, it was like a little over $5K for the renewal. And then this last one that I got here in May, on May 12, it was only like $3.5K. No idea why. It has never consistently been the same. And then every year, I want to say after the first 3 months, you become available for the ACR card, Alien Certification Registry or something like that, as a tourist, and that's really useful for other things, like applying for your visa extension online. You need to have that ACR card in order to do that. But again, that's something that you're paying between $3.5 to $5.5K every 2 months. And with the Balikbayan visa, that's 12 months. You don't got to sweat it. You don't got to worry about it. That's pretty cool. It's just one of the benefits, of being married to a Filipina. There are lots of others, but I suppose that's a different video. And I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to talk to this time around. If you've been married in the Philippines and you have some thoughts, drop a comment. If you're curious about any of the real details, because I've got like a list of things here for the prices, drop a comment. Let me know. Some folks have pretty strong opinions about, wow, don't get married in the Philippines. There's no divorce. We can have that discussion. Drop a comment. Let me know. Or hell, I can do a follow-up video about that, because there's some details there that are probably worth going over. Yeah, that's pretty much it from my end. As always, folks, take care, be good to yourselves, and stay safe out there. It's a crazy goddamn world. Till next time.